Do not force yourself to be more open and more vulnerable than you actually feel comfortable with. Instead, go inward and be with the parts of you that say, hey, I'm really, really scared to share, and say, I see you and I'm with you and I love you and I'm not gonna force you to do anything you don't wanna do. Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. And also, hi Savannah, it's Chimdi. I really love personalizing these YouTube videos. I have to say, I made a video about YouTube tips for Omar because he reached out via Instagram. I have a personal and a coaching Instagram, BT Dubs, and he was just naming how much he appreciates that I'm the kind of YouTube creator who really be engaging with my audience. And I was like, I am that kind of YouTube creator. You know, and it's fun and I love it. So this video is for everyone, but it's also very specifically for you, Savannah. Hey girl. Before we get into it, Patreon people, thank you so much. Really, it means a lot that you give me money. Like, I have groceries in my fridge because you gave me money to buy them. I'm doing this new thing, y'all. I'm so proud of myself. It's where I don't use my credit card and go into more debt. And so now one of the things where I'm like, okay, always buy your groceries using cash. And I've been able to do that because of you Patreon people, so thank you. I'm also, like I said, a creative coach. You can find me at Coaching by Chimdi. And if you want some support showing up consistently and authentically, like my girl Savannah here, go ahead and put some one-on-one time on my calendar. I think I actually can intuit quite a bit based on the question, but there's nothing like, of course, getting that one-on-one support. And then I think the most important part is being present and being in my energy, low-key. Low-key. I think it's about being in my energy. And that's why truly none of my calls are free. But it's because I'm like, if you want to just be in my energy, you can go on YouTube and I will be shouting directly in your face. It's fine. As if you want that personalized attunement. All right, let's get into this video. What Savannah was asking me about was all around the fear of being seen and how she can show up as a creator without oversharing. Like all things, it is much deeper than you would think, especially when it comes to fear. There's a real intensity to what we are trying to not feel, and the way doing things like creating online or showing up in any way in your life will activate this really intense existential early fear. One thing I love is that any question you ask gives you the answer. Like, the answer is always embedded in the question. And so if someone were to come to you and say, oh, I'm actually really scared of being seen, then they're already telling you something about themselves, which is that pretty early and probably pretty fundamentally, when they were seen, bad things happened. And so the extent to how bad things were is mirrored in just how little or how much they can show themselves and be themselves without that fear coming up. So Savannah, you know for yourself just how much you can share before things start getting uncomfortable. And it's at that point where there's that friction, that tension that tells you where the judgment, the cruelty, the shame, like whatever sort of dense negative feeling of essentially not being great and worthy and beautiful and full of love and light and essentially your true wonderful self, you can see, okay, that's the point where I started getting this pushback that said, I guess I'm not this like wonderful, beautiful, lovely person that I thought I was. When it comes to the fear of being seen, I personally think it's super, super, super important to not try to override that fear, because when we override that fear, we are overriding the part of ourselves that created a defense mechanism that kept us safe. It's kind of like if you were going into battle, you know, you had a whole suit of armor, you had your whole shield, you had your whole sword, and you were going out into battle. Overriding the fear is saying, hey, I know you're about to go into battle, but you'll be fine. Like, give me your shield, give me your sword, take off all your chainmail, just go out there naked, it'll be fine. And you're like, I mean, people are kind of coming at me really intensely with weapons. And it's like, no, it's fine. You'll be okay. And then what ends up happening is because you aren't protected, you put yourself in situations that then reinforce that early experience of being judged, of being made to feel small, of being made fun of being shamed. Whatever experience told you and convinced you to the point that you still on some level believe it today, that you should not be seen. And if you were to be seen, you would not be honored and valued how you are. So then the question is like, okay, so then I just am with this fear, and then how how, how does that then turn into me being able to show up online confidently and excitedly and in my full purpose and in my full expression and all these things? And that is truly the magic of healing. That's very literally the magic of healing, is that the healing comes naturally. It's like if you were to get a cut on your arm, you wouldn't have to yell at your arm like, heal, this is what you need to do, okay?
Create these certain kinds of proteins.
Your cells, your body, your spirit knows how to heal. Our world itself, it's a self-healing mechanism. That's why I'm not worried about global warming. This is the earth being like, ooh, it's getting kind of hot. The earth is like, ooh, it's getting hot.
We need to switch some things up.
I don't want to go on this track of global warming. What I want to say is that the process of healing is the presencing. It's bringing the light. The light does the healing. That's natural. It's the fact that we haven't been with these really uncomfortable feelings that keeps us running into the situations that will help us feel them. And the reason why is because you felt that. Originally, you felt that feeling, and it's valid because you are valid. I feel like it's important to pause and like really be with that. You are valid. Anything you feel is valid. And by letting yourself feel it, you affirm your own validity as a human being. And that's why all you need to do is let yourself feel it. Now, that is really hard because the feelings are really intense. And the earlier you have that experience, the more intense it is. For me, I have been so blessed to be in communities with people where I get to process and feel these feelings with other people holding space. It is a lot to do it on your own, and it takes a lot longer. What I found is that when I can just talk to another person and be with the enormity of whatever's coming up for me, it moves so much quicker. I can still move it on my own. It'll just take longer because I'm like digesting smaller and smaller chunks. And even when I am doing it on my own, I still call in a spirit team of like people, spiritual figures, authors who have said things to me that have been so compassionate and loving. I connect to their compassionate, loving energy, and I feel held by them and like the angels and the saints and all of these people too, right? The services I offer as a coach, I do a lot of like strategy and brainstorming and ideas and planning and accountability, and that really is what allows you to actually sort of turn these visions into reality. But the first part is that you need to feel safe so that you can actually be with your dreams and be with the fears that say you can't achieve your dreams. The other thing you talk about that I think is really important is that you want to share and be open without oversharing. I reflected on why would someone overshare? From my perspective, I think we overshare because we're not able to correctly gauge who we can share and be open with and have our experiences be validated and have our greatness be really seen and mirrored in the light of their witnessing. If we don't know who we can go to and what audiences are appropriate for being in that expression, we'll end up sharing to someone we meet on the subway, we'll end up sharing to a YouTube audience, we'll end up sharing on social media, we'll end up sharing to people who maybe don't have our best interests at heart, and then that experience comes back to bite us, and then we then feel bad for expressing ourselves and feeling as if, okay, maybe I actually shouldn't be sharing at all because it's not going to end well for me. It's not going to be a safe thing for me to do. The question, once again, shows the answer, because if you are not able to correctly gauge who you should share yourself with and who you can trust to really see you and uplift you, that means in your early experience, the people who should have been doing that for you, your caretakers, your family, your community, they drop the ball. Unfortunately, when we are young and the people around us drop the ball, we know that we need them to survive. So we really can't question their competency. We really can't question their motives. We really can't question their capacity, because without them, we know we don't have what it takes to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves and pay our own bills. Not when we're 3, you know what I mean? So we really got to be like, okay, I'm getting some signs that maybe this person does not have the capacity, but it can't be them because that is too much for me to be with. So it must be me. And then the process becomes that we internalize this sense of not being valued and not being worthy. And then it shows up for years in our life until we're sort of faced with, okay, I want to show up in this way. I want to grow my life in this way. I want to have these new experiences. In order to do that, I need to drop some of these limiting beliefs that aren't really serving me. And then you come to videos like this. And then you come to Chimdy and you're like, hey, Chimdy girl, how do I do this? And I'm like, Savannah girl, I would be happy to tell you. I would be happy to share that with you. I want you to take this if it resonates with you. I'm not a trained therapist. I'm not a clinical psychologist. Everything I'm sharing has been from my own experience and from the things that I've read and listened to and heard that really resonated with me, and that when I implemented them in my life, it made a difference. But I'm always learning. I'm always hearing new perspectives, and it's always kind of changing and transforming and evolving my own point of view. So I want to name that, like, this perspective I'm giving you is time-stamped for this moment in my own development, and it might not be resonant for you now, and it might not be resonant for you ever. You know what I mean? Like, it may not be a thing of like a couple years you'll come back to this video and be like, you know what, homegirl was really saying something. Because I had Omar said that. He was like, you know, I found your channel a couple years ago, but I never really subscribed. And then now that I've had more life experiences that sort of mirror and match what you've gone through, there's a lot more resonance. So truly, everyone we talk to, every experience we have, every conversation, it's because there's a resonance on some level. So if this isn't resonating with you, I don't want to project a bunch of stuff on you, Savannah, saying you've been through all these things if it doesn't feel true for you. So then back to that final question, how can you be more open without oversharing? And I think the most important thing is to feel safe in your own body, such that the judgments and comments and opinions from other people don't have you questioning your own innate sense of worth. When we really don't understand who we are, we really don't value who we are looking to the outside world to tell us, to validate us, to show us like, okay, I'm worthy. And you kind of reference sort of trusting the process in your creative journey. I think one thing that makes it hard to do that is if we are looking to the external world to show us, okay, I'm good, I'm worthy, I'm helpful, I'm useful, I'm valuable. And then if we're not getting that in the form of likes and comments and subscribers and sponsors and all these things, it's really destabilizing because we don't have it for ourselves. So personally, I think doing all the internal work is the answer. It will come naturally when you feel good in yourself. People will come to me and they will say like,
You are so open, girl.
it doesn't feel like I'm being especially open. Like, I promise, like, people will say that and I'm like, what is happening? Like, I'm not putting my coochie out here on the internet. I feel like I'm not giving you details. I don't even reference people that I've dated by name. I feel like I am relatively private. My sister, I referenced her for years at this point now. I only just put like video of her on my channel this month, and even then she's not speaking in any of it. So I feel like I actually do keep a lot of the things that are private to me private. So when folks are like, you are so open. But I also know at the same time, it's been a journey. And then when I look back at some of my earlier videos from like 4 or 5 years ago, I was sharing and I was being honest, but there was a level, and it was the level to which I had met myself, that I did sort of say, I'm not gonna get into it. And it was more of the emotional stuff, more of the vulnerable stuff, because I hadn't met that part of myself yet. You know, when you become a friend to yourself, when you really let yourself be your full self, be in all of your range of emotions, be in all of the pain you've experienced and all the triumphs you've experienced, all of your resiliency, how much you've overcome, when you really see yourself and you are the one witnessing yourself to be like, wow, you are incredible. And you're like, I am. It's like, yeah. Like when you see that, that is the energy you'll bring to everything you do. And then that's the energy that will be mirrored back to you by your audience. I still get random negative comments, and no one likes receiving negative comments, of course, but it doesn't affect me the way it would have affected me a couple of years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, where it would have actually shaken me up, because I have so much more internal resourcing and so much more capacity. And so I would just sum this up by saying, do not force yourself to be more open and more vulnerable than you actually feel comfortable with. Instead, go inward and be with the parts of you that say, hey, I'm really, really scared to share, and say, I see you and I'm with you and I love you, and I'm not gonna force you to do anything you don't wanna do. And you seeing yourself in that way and really honoring yourself in that way is what will create the healing that will make it easy and fun and natural to be in your full expression in your life and online. Hope this has been helpful. I feel like that was a really good commercial for my coaching. So if you want some one-on-one support, you can go ahead and book some time using the link in my description. Thank you everyone for watching and for subscribing and for all your love and for all the Patreon money. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.